Hey you guys, this is Yolanda from Yolaji Holistic Wellness, making this video to help you figure out, are your crystals real or fake? This is one of my favorite topics because crystals are so magical. They're little beings. They have so many different traits and personalities and different kinds of vibrations and meanings that they can actually be used for everything that you can consider that's in the topic of alchemy. They help us manifest, they help us with emotional support, things like that, energetic clearings and all of that, and energetic enhancements because they vibrate at their own frequency and they're made of such vibrational DNA. So today we're going to talk about some of the concepts between how to spot a fake and a real crystal. If you're like myself, I love crystals. Whenever I go out and about, I'm always shopping and finding one, or I go mining and it's one of my things that I hoard. I'm sorry, but I hate to say it because I do so many things with crystals. However, with today's market, you have a lot of saturation with manufactured and real crystals. So real crystals, let's get down to the point. Real crystals are always going to be very, very like free form. So when I mean free form is that a real crystal is always going to have its own marks, its own inclusions, air bubbles, things like that. Usually real crystals actually even are a lighter color as opposed to some of the manufactured crystals which are more intense and more vibrant, and they have that sparkle and that bling that we just love because as soon as we see it, we're like, oh my God, it's shiny. As opposed to just a plain white crystal cluster that is just clear, or maybe rose quartz or something that's kind of, just faint and very pastel-like in color, right? So we're gonna kind of talk about crystals in general, on the different types of stuff that they're doing with them, how are they making them, and how to look out for them. So I believe that everything holds an energetic frequency. Energy never dies, it transforms into something else. Intention is also that leads into energy. So when your intentions are pure, of course that energy, that whatever you put into, is going to have a higher vibration, whereas things that are manufactured, to me, is lower dense vibration. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're no good. It just means that they're not as high vibrational, which means that they don't really hold the same frequency as a real crystal. With inflation going up, it's kind of hard to find crystals that are inexpensive, that may be high cost. If you are usually low cost, more than likely they're fake, or they're mixed in with something else, which are added minerals, different glass, things like that. And so we all know that manufactured is the most common thing that we're finding in a lot of stores. I consider myself not a retailer, but a collector. I actually try to look for the most authentic pieces that I can find because I know that that stone is going to have different vibrations, especially when there's mixed minerals, say like pyrite with quartz that have grown naturally together as opposed to manufactured. So let's talk about manufactured. Manufactured stones are made out of usually glass or plastic. We all have different opinions of whether a glass stone is actually a real mineral or if it's actually a healing stone. I guess you're gonna have to use your own opinion on this one, as there are many stones that are made of glass, such as opalite, tektite, moldavite. Moldavite is one of the biggest stones right now that are being sold for the highest amount of dollars, and majority of it is fake. It is not real. There are different ways you can find out whether it's real or not, you can Google Google search it, and it'll pop up. Opalite is another one that I see that is actually classified as a stone. I do not consider this a stone at all. And a lot of sellers will market opalite as opal, which it's not. Pure opal, real opal, is actually quite expensive, and you get a tad little piece for like maybe for a minimum of like 15-20 bucks, because it's rare and it's natural and it's very high vibrational. And then you have goldstone, like blue goldstone or copperstone is what I meant. Those are also man-made. So majority of the time, if a stone is perfect and symmetrically designed, has no imperfections, and is very, you know, however pretty, like really bright and blingy, 9 out of 10, those are fake stones. Now, what most of these manufacturers are doing is they're taking, like, maybe sometimes they'll mix a little bit of the natural stone with a glass or a plastic and actually manufacture that as a real stone. In reality, it's not. So there is a scale system to follow if you ever want to test your stone. It's called, my English is all messed up, but it's the MOH scale. You can look it up on Google. And actually, the hardness of the stone determines if it's a real stone or not. So real stones actually weigh more than man-made, but a little bit retract. So manufactured stones are basically made in bulk. They are sometimes not mixed with any crystals. It could be a complete fake. And these stones are the most common at the moment because they're the cheapest. And so it really does good to know your retailer and know where it is that you're getting your stones from. That way they have a little bit of a reputation, you build that trust, and you know that the stones that you're purchasing are high frequency and authentic, right? So manufactured, you know, there's a lot of them that are coming from overseas. I'm not going to call out any you know, countries or whatever, but we all know where they're mostly coming from. And so when you manufacture something, we've talked about this in previous videos, how when you manufacture something, there's no pure intention. So that means that the vibration is very dense. It doesn't mean that it's totally dead. It just means that it's dense and it's very cloudy. So it's not pure. It's like going to go buy an organic cookie as opposed to Sara Lee's cookies, which has been processed, manufactured, you know, substituted for certain ingredients that an organic, you know, substituted for like real ingredients that an organic cookie would have, so to speak. And so that's like, you know, like, I'm sorry, but I would want an organic cookie, not a processed Sara Lee cookie. And I'm not, you know, whatever. But, you know, so when you manufacture stuff, you're making things in bulk. And the concept of making it is just a little bit more about funds and money than it is about vibrations and healing. So most manufactured stones that I see, I stay away from. I clear from them, and I don't use them for energy, any type of energy healing or any type of work, alchemy work that I do, because it's like almost like it's just dense. It's like lowering it, and I want to be up here, not down here. So there are some other stones to come up with. So I don't know if most of you have heard about synthetic stones. So this is the second branch off from manufactured. These two are different. Manufactured is made out of a factory. They're made with the purpose of just money, and a lot of times they're not real stones. And then you have synthetic that are lab grown precious stones. So a lot of times we'll see people advertise lab-grown diamond or sapphires or rubies or garnets, and there is a little bit of mix-up with that. But me personally, with my experience, I'm okay with synthetic stones because synthetic stones are actually the same composition as the natural stone that would come out of the earth. They're made from the same chemicals, they're made from the same compounds. And so therefore they have the same formulas that a natural stone would. And that's why a lot of people sometimes charge a little bit more for this, because even though it's a lab-grown stone, it still has the same essences. Could you use these stones for any type of energy healing or whatever? No, I mean, I will wear it. I can feel the vibrations. If I feel it, I am going to use it, but I wouldn't necessarily use this for personal private sessions as opposed to a real crystal like a quartz or a rose quartz or tourmaline and things like that. So also from there are dyed stones. So dyed stones, a lot of people have a misconception that when they're buying turquoise, it's actual real turquoise, when in reality, it's dyed howlite. A lot of agates are dyed also. Does this remove any of the natural spiritual properties from the stone if you dye it? That, I don't know. That's based on your opinion, not mine. The next one that we're going to talk about is aura crystals. So aura crystals, they're awesome. They're beautiful. Most people think that these are processed or manufactured. No, not unless they're manufactured from a vendor or something like that. But there are aura quartzes that are true and authentic stones. They're actually they've gone through a chemical process called, can't even say it, electro something, but they're binded with metals. And so these metals actually enhance the aura stone's vibration to a higher frequency. So angel quartz and all that good stuff, I'm definitely a fan of. And I will sometimes use these for private sessions or energy healing or any kind of private session or anything like that. The next one is going to be heat-treated crystals. Heat-treated crystals are natural crystals. These are crystals that have been treated by heat to brighten their color and to give their color more depth and more like pizzazz. And so these are different from manufactured and dyed. These are heat treated. So it's basically taking the crystal's natural color, heating it up and intensifying it, which is great. And then there's reconstituted crystals. So reconstituted crystals are great also. They have a very high frequency. These are the crystals that get made into shape form, like singing bowls and things like that. They take pieces of these crystals and they kind of melt it down, or they kind of like go through a process where they infuse all the crystals together and it still holds the natural vibrations. Reconstituted crystals are also found in organites. So the thing that is not commonly spoken about most of the time, besides manufactured, synthetic, or real, is combining the two together, which some manufacturers do, which is the reconstituted and the manufactured mix in together. So what they'll do is they'll take some of the real crystals and infuse it into the formula of a glass or a plastic. These are the most common unless they are completely manufactured, and most manufactured that are really, really fake are made from plastic and glass. Now, glass can be something that does have healing properties. It's up to you to decide. But for the most part, I would say fake crystals are usually not good for alchemy or any kind of energetic healing. They may be lower in price, but they are not high vibrational. They are very dense. And so that kind of like goes back to the whole process of certain stones too. So my preference is rough raw stones. I prefer them in the raw simply because the energy hasn't been messed with, as opposed to tumbled stones. I believe, in my opinion, my experience, you all have your own experiences and your own opinions to go by, but when a stone gets tumbled, it does lose its frequency. Every time something is processed, it does lose its frequency. However, aura quartz, lab-grown synthetic stones are okay to me in my book, just a little bit. Manufactured stones are a no-no, especially when they're being smelted with just a little bit of the stone and mostly plastic and glass. So know your stones. Remember that real stones are heavy. They're imperfect. They have rough edges, they have bubbles, or they may have like a symmetrical thing going on. Whereas perfect stones always come in smooth, vibrant, and very lightweight and all that good stuff. And so I hope this video helps you to recognize the differences, and hopefully when you go and buy that multivite, you'll actually take a closer look, because the price of what is being sold for is not really worth it if it's fake. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. Peace out.